Hello and welcome to Crime Watch Daily Updates. I'm your host, Anna Garcia. Father-daughter rituals can be a sacred part of a parent's relationship with their child, whether it involves cooking together, watching sports, whatever is special. Well, for Karina Vetrano and her father, Philip, it was running. The two were running partners and always hit the trails together. On August 2nd of 2016, Karina jogged without her father because his back was injured. His life would never be the same. She left home in Howard Beach, a neighborhood in Queens, New York, and ran in Spring Creek Park in the early evening. Surveillance footage first obtained by Crime Watch Daily showed her in the park at 5:46 p.m. She failed to come home, and her parents grew worried. Karina's parents and NYPD officers searched for the 30-year-old, and her father eventually discovered her body in some tall grass near the running trail. Karina had been dragged, beaten, sexually assaulted, and strangled, but there was DNA evidence on her back, under her fingernails, and on her cell phone. In February of 2017, New York police retrieved a DNA sample from the then 20-year-old Chanel Lewis, and it came back as a match. He confessed on February 4th of 2017 to killing Karina and was then charged with her murder. Chanel went to trial in 2018, but the jury could not reach a verdict, so the judge declared a mistrial. He stood trial again about 6 months later and was found guilty on April 1st of 2019. Chanel was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Since the conviction and sentencing, more than 41,000 people have signed a petition asking the Queens District Attorney to reopen Chanel's case and release him on bail, arguing there was prosecutorial misconduct and that his confession was coerced by police. Now, let's take a look back at the tragic case of a young woman brutally murdered while out for what should have been a peaceful summer jog.
Anything you have to say?
Is this the face of evil?
Anything you want to say, why'd you do it?
Did this 20-year-old man commit one of the most savage and senseless crimes New York has ever seen?
Anything you have to say? It's a family.
The assault and murder for which he's been arrested, beyond brutal. And now,
Who is it?
it's Chris Hansen.
Get it out of the market.
Crime Watch Daily is on the ground, searching for answers from the people who should know the accused killer best. His own parents.
I know he's been accused of this crime, and I wanted to get some perspective from his family.
Just come in.
These are the last haunting images of Karina Vetrano captured on a security camera just minutes before she was murdered on a remote jogging trail. Crime Watch Daily was the first to bring you this exclusive video of that fateful August 2nd, a day Karina's father, Phil, will never forget.
What strikes me out of all these pictures is her incredible zest for life.
There was so much in her, and she achieved so much, and she would have achieved so much more. The sky was the limit.
Karina, described by friends and family as the life of the party, was found dead along this jogging trail near JFK Airport. She had been dragged into the tall weeds and strangled, left face down. Karina's dad usually ran with her, but he was nursing a back injury that terrible day.
Does that haunt you a little bit?
Of course it does.
Shortly after the shocking murder, New York Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce sat down with me for his first national interview to discuss the case.
Give me a sense for the injuries Karina suffered.
Facial injuries. She also had bruising on her body.
What does that tell you?
She fought not to go into those weeds.
At the time, Boyce told me they had a DNA profile of the killer based on samples found on Karina's back, under her fingernails, and on her cell phone. And yet,
It doesn't hit on any database.
No.
it was a lack of answers Karina's father, Phil, found nearly unbearable, especially considering his role in the case.
You found your daughter.
I did. With the help of the PD.
As a parent, I have a hard time even getting my arms around that.
I think as a parent, you would rather you find your child than someone else. It's the last act of protection you can give your child.
After the murder, police did release this sketch of a man in a wool cap who was in the location around the time Karina was killed. But still nothing.
This is going to be seen around the country. What message do you have for people?
We're looking for a break. We need a break in the case.
Now, finally, that break has come.
This is a very good day for justice in New York City. Yesterday evening, Chanel Lewis, a 20-year-old male who resides in East New York, Brooklyn, was taken into custody in connection with the August 2nd, 2016 murder of Karina Vetrano.
As it turns out, when police were going back through their files, they uncovered a 911 call from 3 months before the murder. Reports of the same man, Chanel Lewis, lurking suspiciously near the area Karina was killed. In fact, the original 911 call came from one of the investigators working the case, who, after remembering the incident, helped track Lewis down to his mother's house and bring him in for questioning.
We spoke to him that night. That was Thursday night. He freely gave a buccal swab of his DNA to us. Within 2 days, we had a hit. You got to remember, Karina helped us identify this person. She had the DNA under her nails. She had touch DNA on her back, and there was more DNA on the cell phone.
But even without the DNA match, it seems police had enough to make an arrest.
Lewis was interviewed by detectives and made detailed, incriminating statements and admissions. Charges are now pending.
But do police really have the right man? The suspect's sister says no, telling reporters, "I think Hobbs framed him because he's a black person. They couldn't find anyone else to pin this on, so they pinned it on my brother." But police remain resolute, saying Lewis told them in a videotaped confession that he was out walking and in a, quote, bad mood when he came across Karina and snapped.
We don't believe he knew her at all. It appears to be a chance encounter.
But we wanted to understand how a young man with no previous criminal history could have suddenly done what he's accused of.
Who is it?
It's Chris Hansen.
Who is Chris Hansen?
I'm a reporter for Crime Watch Daily. It's a television show. And I'm looking for Chanel's mom.
What do you want?
Well, I would like to talk to you about your son. Right away, Chanel's mom made it clear she had little to say, about her son anyway.
I do not want to speak to you. I wish you would get the hell off of the man's property.
I know this is a difficult time. I can only imagine.
I want to speak to you.
But you see what I'm getting at. I think it's important to know both sides of the story. All right, thank you for your time.
Get the hell out of my face.
There would be no statement from the mom, with whom he lived most recently. So then we went looking for the father. And before long... Hi, Richard.
Hello.
I'm Chris Hansen with Crime Watch Daily. It's a television show. And we're working on a story on Chanel, and I wanted to talk to you.
What is it about him?
I just want to ask you. I don't know. I mean, I know he's been accused of this crime, and I wanted to get some perspective from his family, and we came to talk to you, to hear what you had to say.
Just come in.
Okay. To our surprise, Chanel's dad invited us inside. But as our cameras got into position, what he had to say stood in stark contrast to the crime for which Chanel has been accused.
I would describe him as a wonderful young man.
Wonderful in what way?
Wonderful, him just a good guy. Just a good guy.
But reports say otherwise. Police sources say that 5 years earlier, when Chanel was just 15, he allegedly said he wanted to bring a knife to school to, quote, stab all the girls. Why would he lash out?
When you say lash out, what do you mean?
Attack Karina Vetrano.
Why would he do that?
Why would he do that?
I don't think he would have.
You don't think he did?
I don't think he did it.
But how did his DNA get on her fingernails, her phone, and her neck?
Oh, that what?
He had no answer to that other than to stick by his son. Do you think your son is capable of murder?
Sir, I don't see how he would have.
Was your son mentally disturbed?
I'm not answering any further.
And that's where Chanel's father cut the interview. As for Karina's parents, at Lewis's arraignment, Karina's mother didn't hold back, shouting, "He's a demon! He's a demon! He can burn in hell! Now your nightmare begins." For now, Chanel Lewis has been charged with second-degree murder, is being held without bail, and according to police, faces 25 years to life behind bars.